beyond the case.
Not every door was meant to be opened, and some were never meant to exist at all. Elliot Graves was a quiet man, the kind you forget even after meeting. He lived in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of an old brick building in Portland. Nothing fancy, nothing broken, nothing special. His life was composed of muted colors and soft sounds, the turning of book pages, the occasional meow from his black cat Vesper, and the gentle creak of the floorboards he'd memorized step by step. He worked as a freelance book editor, rarely left his apartment, and had no real need to. He found comfort in routine. Early tea, morning edits, a walk around the block at 4:15 p.m. sharp, and a cup of herbal tea before bed. His days were as ordinary as dust, until the door appeared. It was a rainy Thursday when Elliot first noticed it. He was wiping down the hallway baseboards when something caught his eye. A door. On the far wall of the corridor, where there had only ever been blank wallpaper and a framed picture of the Oregon coast, there now stood a plain wooden door. It had no knob, no hinges, just a flat surface, painted a dull, sickly beige. There was no way it had always been there. Elliot had lived in that apartment for 6 years. He'd vacuumed that wall, hung shelves on it. He checked his phone for old photos, scrolled through dated images of his apartment, and sure enough, the wall was bare. He laughed nervously to himself, convinced he was overtired. Maybe it was a trick of the light. Maybe someone had installed it by mistake, some sort of renovation mishap from the unit next door. He went to bed that night, disturbed but rational. Dreams came quickly. In the dream, he was standing in front of the door, except now it was red, blood red, and something was scratching from the other side. Not frantic, rhythmic, like it knew he was there. He woke up gasping, heart pounding. Vesper hissed at the hallway. The next day, the door remained. Elliot knocked on it once, just once, and the sound that came back wasn't an echo. It was a thud, hollow, but not quite empty. He placed his ear against the surface and held his breath, breathing, soft, close, as if someone or something was right there. He pulled back, heart racing, told himself it was his imagination, but the seed of unease had already taken root. He called the building manager, a man named Ross, who always smelled like wet newspapers. Ross came up, looked at the wall and frowned. "There's no door there," he said. Elliot pointed. "Right in front of you." Ross chuckled awkwardly. "You have Graves?" But the door was there. Elliot could touch it, photograph it. But when Ross tried, his fingers brushed against empty wall. "Maybe you need a little fresh air," Ross mumbled on his way out. That night the scratching came back. It grew louder, closer, not frantic, still rhythmic, like it was waiting. Elliot stopped editing his manuscripts. He sat in the hallway, staring at the door. He whispered things to it, desperate and afraid. No reply ever came, but the scratching never ceased. Sometimes it stopped when he blinked. Sometimes it only started again when the lights were off. And sometimes it sounded like whispering, not words, just a presence. One day he found a note under the door, but that was impossible. There was no gap beneath it. And yet, the paper was old, yellowed, and damp. It read, "Please don't open it." I begged them not to, but they did, and now, I'm here. No name, no context, no handwriting he recognized. He didn't sleep that night, nor the one after. He began hearing footsteps, on the ceiling, under the floor, inside the walls. Vesper vanished. No signs of struggle, no open windows. One moment there, the next, gone. Elliot reported her missing but didn't mention the door. Who would believe him? Weeks passed. He stopped going outside. The smell of the hallway changed, metallic and damp. The wallpaper around the door began to peel, revealing something dark beneath. Not wood, not paint, just dark. On a Thursday, exactly 4 weeks since the door appeared, Elliot stood before it one last time, in one hand a hammer, in the other a note he'd written. "I didn't want to open it. I swear I didn't." They found his apartment empty. No sign of Elliot, no sign of Vesper. The second bedroom, once filled with stacks of books, was bare. The strange thing was there was no second door, not even a frame. Just a smooth wall, cold to the touch, but the wallpaper kept peeling. And if you listened very carefully, only when you were alone, you could still hear the faintest sound. Scratching.